What part has the supernatural in your life?
I don't exactly know what people mean by the supernatural. I mean, in practice, I would say that what people call the natural in our Western tradition is in fact our projection of concepts upon the world. I would say this is the natural is our tendency to project our notions and concepts upon the outer world. I mean, to see the outer world not as the immediate datum of experience, but as an embodied label, as the illustration of some generalization already pre-existing in our skulls. This is what we call the natural world. The supernatural world, as far as I'm concerned, is in effect the genuinely natural world, which is the world of immediate experience without all these concepts imposed upon it. I mean, anyone who has ever had the experience of seeing the world without labels and concepts immediately has the impression of its being supernatural. And I mean, in a curious paradoxical way, nature as it is in itself, in as much as we can ever know it in itself, is supernatural. The all too natural is this all too human world of concepts which we impose upon nature. And this, as far as I'm concerned, is the difference between the natural and the supernatural. The natural is what we is our picture of the world with its names and its labels imposed upon it, the utilitarian and scientific and generally day-to-day picture. And the supernatural is the world as it comes to us in its profoundest mystery of, I mean, one is sometimes suddenly aware of this bottomless mystery of existence. I mean, suddenly you're hit by this thing. If you choose to call this the supernatural, and I don't know what other sense it has. I mean, I don't believe in mysterious beings going around and arranging things, but I do believe in the profound, unfathomable mystery of life, which I think has a sort of divine quality about it. I think there is a mysterious being, but whether he goes around arranging things is another question. I just don't know. I mean, I think one can be complete agnostic and a complete mystic at the same time. I don't see any incompatibility with mysticism and the most skeptical scientific approach. I mean, there's no incompatibility, just as there's no incompatibility between being a biochemist and having a taste for music. I'm entirely on the side of the mystery. I mean, any attempt to explain away the mystery is ridiculous. This fundamental everyday mystery of our existence is something which we mustn't try to avoid through intellectual explanation. We have to have intellectual explanations, but we have to be perfectly clear that they're not completely satisfying, that we must never take these words too seriously. Words are very important, but if we take them too seriously, we destroy everything. But if we can somehow learn to make the best of both worlds, the worlds of conceptual explanation and the worlds of immediate experience, the world of the mystery as it's actually given, then we have a full and complete life. Otherwise we have either the life of the sort of savage without any intellectual side at all, or else the so-called life of reason, which is wholly unsatisfactory. We have to have both. We must make the best of both worlds. And the Greeks did pretty well up to a point, but I mean the Greeks had their appalling limitations. I mean their whole view of women was utterly unsatisfactory. They had no view of an adequate kind of marriage, no view of a permanent love relationship between the sexes. I mean, in that way they were frightfully limited. But in other ways I think they did handle the problem of the irrational very well. I don't know enough about older civilizations to know which did it well. I mean, I think many of them obviously did it pretty well. I mean, I suppose the Chinese did it pretty well. But though I'm quite sure that we could improve upon it, I don't think we do it very well. And we have such bad symbols. I mean, we have really no great symbols now. I mean, all that we have are these ridiculous nationalist symbols like flags and swastikas and whatnot. But no sort of great cosmic symbols. I mean, when you think of the staggering symbols that the Indians produced, I mean, the dancing Shiva, for example, we've never produced anything as comprehensive as this. The dancing Shiva, those little bronze statues, it is the Shiva with 4 arms dancing with 1 foot raised. And, well, I mean, I'll go into the details, they're really quite extraordinary. It's the figure stands within a great circle, a sort of halo, which has flames going out, I mean, the symbols of flames. And this is the circle of mass, energy, space, time. I mean, this is the material world, the great world of the all-embracing material world with its flames, which are energy. Within this, Shiva dances. He's called Nataraja, the lord of the dance. And he dances, he's everywhere in the universe. I mean, this is his dance. The manifestation of the world is called his lila, his play. It's, I mean, he sends his rain upon the just and the unjust, and he's not he's beyond good and evil, of course. It's all an immense manifestation of play. He has this long hair, which is the hair of the yogin, contemplative, and it streams out to the limits of the universe, you see. Therefore, this sort of yogic knowledge of this contemplation includes everything. He has 4 arms. In the upper right arm, he holds a little drum, which is the drum which summons things into creation. You beat upon this drum and things come into existence. In his left arm, he holds a fire, which is what destroys everything. He both creates and destroys. His lower right hand is held up in this attitude, which means be not afraid, in spite of everything, it is all right. The other hand points down at his feet, and 1 foot is planted squarely on the back of a repulsive dwarf, this infinitely powerful dwarf called Muyalaka, I think his name is, who is the ego. And he has to break the back of the ego, you see. What he's really pointing at is the other foot, which is raised. And this means this foot is raised against gravitation and is the symbol of spiritual contemplation. The whole thing is there, you see. I mean, the world of space and time and matter and energy, the world of creation and destruction, the world of psychology. I mean, how do you get out of this? I mean, if you don't break the back of the ego, you're lost. And if you don't practice contemplation, there will be no liberation for you. I mean, we don't have anything remotely approaching such a comprehensive symbol, which is both cosmic and psychological and spiritual. I mean, it is really most unfortunate that we have such miserable symbols. It's part of the regular Hinduism, but it is specifically Shivaite. And then one of the manifestations, of course, is called Bhairava of Shiva, who is also dancing, but he dances in cemeteries. And I mean, to remind us that the dance of life isn't always very jolly. I mean, that he dances just as much in misery and death as in life and elation. I mean, this has to be accepted. And of course, again, it's only by the lifted foot that we can accept it. I mean, it actually is completely compatible with the modern scientific idea. I mean, it includes the world, you see, of mass, energy, space and time. And the idea of the infinite energy dancing timelessly and forever through this world. Dancing through human mentality too. I mean, that the world is felt to be, of course, a kind of outrage, because the play goes on even inside ourselves, although we are sentient beings, and yet the hand is raised, everything is finally all right, in spite of everything, if, as Buddha says, I show you sorrow and the ending of sorrow. The ending of sorrow is putting your foot on the back of the dwarf and raising the other foot in against gravity into the state of contemplation. I mean, the whole thing is there, stated in this single, extremely elegant. I mean, these Shiva images from the south of India are very, very elegant. They're most beautiful pieces of sculpture, the best of them. But it's a shame we don't have any good symbols like this to remind us of who we are, and of what we can do about it, if anything. No, we're very, very poor in it. I mean, we have some of the Christian symbols which are not really satisfactory. I mean, the symbol of the cross is fairly good, but it doesn't take into account the sort of cosmic side of life. I mean, it doesn't take into account mass, energy, space and time, which is essential. It doesn't take into account, I mean, as it stands, it doesn't take into account the importance of contemplation. No, it's, I mean, there are other symbols, of course, within Christianity which do, but a single comprehensive symbol like the Shiva symbol we do not have, and it's very unfortunate. This whole business of the organized manipulation of symbols is, I mean, the human mind is a symbolific instrument. I mean, it exists to manufacture symbols, to turn immediate experience into symbols for the purpose of managing it in a fairly convenient way. The question is, can we get on with fairly scientific symbols, realistic symbols, and then concentrate on the immediate experience? I don't know. I mean, I simply don't know whether this is possible as a sort of general attitude towards the world. I think it's certainly possible in isolated individuals, but whether in fact it will ever turn out to be something which appeals to great numbers of people, I have no idea.
But surely, by its very nature, mysticism hinges upon superstition.
Can one have the flowering of mysticism without the dung of superstition? I don't know whether you can. There's a very interesting chapter in Konzi's book on Buddhism, saying that as a matter of historical fact, these extremely elevated mystical and philosophical doctrines of the Mahayana have always been associated with grossest forms of superstition. Can it be avoided? I don't know. I mean, he is inclined to think that you don't get the one except growing out of the other. I hope it's possible to have an aseptic mysticism, but I don't know that it is. I think certain people can have it, but whether there can be a sort of general atmosphere on the basis of a non-superstitious, non-dogmatic set of beliefs, I've no idea. I profoundly hope so, but at certain times I rather doubt it.